All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Hello, inventors and entrepreneurs. My name is Courtney Laschkewitsch, and I am the Managing Director of Inventors Groups of America, and welcome to Inventors Online in 2021. If you're hearing me talk, you've made it in. Thank you everyone for coming to this all-important meeting and topic today. I personally think this is an extremely important topic, as deciding a path for your idea is where your journey begins. Now, IGA, for those of you who don't know, was founded in 2017 by Stephen Key and Andrew Krauss. Our goal here is twofold. We want to teach individuals how to best commercialize their product ideas, as well as strengthen and support inventor groups throughout the nation. We have a directory of local and regional inventors groups on our website, whom we meet with every month. And if you are located near one, we highly encourage you to join. A little bit more about that later towards the end of our meeting. So for this year, 2021, we're doing things a little bit differently. We have 3 different types of meetings throughout the year. I'm going to pull up a little graphic here. If I can.
Courtney, do you have a meeting that instantly shows us how to get paid for our inventions with no effort whatsoever?
Ooh,
when's that meeting? I want to do that meeting.
I think that's next month, Andrew.
So you guys can just briefly take a look. This is our schedule now for 2021. We've got 3 different things going on, rotating throughout the year once a month. We've got the Fireside Chats, which is today. We will also have presentations, and then we'll have workshops.
Cool.
All right. So for the Fireside Chats, you'll get to hear someone's journey, get some insider tips, and ask questions to our guest expert, which is what we're doing here today. We also have the interactive workshops, and it's like a webinar type for the presentations. The triad of these 3 types of meetings are sure to give you powerful resources throughout the year. We'd love to hear your name and what state or country you are from. You guys know the drill. Go ahead and go down to the chat box and let us know. We love hearing where everyone is, so please don't hesitate to go ahead and let us know. Just know, of course, please do not disclose anything that is confidential and not already publicly available, as well as our meeting is being recorded. Feel free to change your name in the participants panel, choose to be in speaker or gallery mode on the top right at any time, and we encourage you to turn on your video. It's not necessary, but we would love to see you. We have placed the rules in the chat box up at the top as well, and we have a poll this time at the end of our meeting, so please stay to finish that poll for us. All right, so before we go any further, I would like to introduce who will be talking about venturing and licensing with us tonight. Our speaker of the night is a multitasking, multi-talented boss working on 2 different products at the same time with 2 completely opposite methods of business. So let's give it up for the outstanding Dimitry boss. Dimitry, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Hi, everybody in internet land. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Great. Excellent. Super stoked to have you here. So tonight we will be talking about Dimitry's journey in both realms, the pros and cons of venturing and licensing, and then we'll get right into all of your questions. The beauty about a fireside chat is it's all about our audience. The more questions, the better. Please go ahead and start typing in your questions immediately. That means right now if you've got them, and we will get to them. Before we start, I just wanted to ask everyone, is anyone new to any of the Inventors Online? If you're new here and you've never been to a meeting, just flash your hands in front of the camera so we can see you. All right, we've got 2, Stephen, we've got 2, 3, 4, all right, 4 with their cameras on, maybe 5.
Couple more on the second page, yeah, couple more.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. Super stoked to have you here. Thank you for coming to your very first Inventors Online. We really appreciate it. For those of you who haven't been here, how the questions work is please type in your questions into the chat box, and we will pick a question and unmute you, and then you will go ahead and ask that question live to the speaker. All right, so before we get started, Stephen and Andrew, would you like to say anything?
I just like to say that this is like such an important topic, because venturing and licensing are two very different paths, and the things you need to do are very different. So if you just start working on prototypes and patents and different things, you could be doing things in one avenue that's not required, but it is required of the other. And so people make a lot of assumptions about what the path is for licensing and what the path is for venturing. And especially for licensing, they're doing a lot of stuff they don't need to do, and they're doing stuff, they should be doing stuff they're not doing. So I think for new inventors and inventors that are fairly experienced, it's incredibly important to understand the two completely different paths. And I think Dimitry tonight is going to share his personal experience, and that's the best way to learn, right? Through personal experience and somebody's story. So I'm just really looking forward to this.
Great. Stephen?
Yeah, thank you very much, Courtney, for doing such a great job, first of all. I'm really happy to have Dimitry on tonight because he's doing something I think is pretty unusual. As you know, that, Andrew and I talk a lot about licensing, and we talk a little bit about venturing, but to have someone that's doing both at the same time, I think is kind of unique. I also think it takes a lot of courage, to tell you the truth, Dimitry, and a lot of guts and everything else, because it's not easy to do one, let alone the other, and at the same time. So what I'm going to do tonight is ask some questions. We've already, we know each other. We've talked a little bit about your journey. So thank you for willing to share all the successes and problems along the way, because like any path you take, regardless if it's licensing or venturing, there's a lot of roadblocks, right?
Sure, certainly.
Yeah. So let's start at the very, can I start? Courtney,
Go for it.
Okay, all right. Okay, and also I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I see there's a lot of familiar faces, so thank you very much. And once again, Courtney, you always do a great job, and thank you, Andrew, for being here. Okay, Dimitry, let's get down to it.
Okay.
All right, you're doing it. You're doing the licensing.
Yeah.
You're doing the venturing. Let's talk about the venturing first. What are you venturing? What product is it?
All right. So my product that I'm venturing is called Twist to Core, and it's a core development machine with full upper body toning. And I'm purposely launching it hard right now because of the days of COVID and the idea that the gym world is closed. And it's a passion of mine that I've had for many, many years. I actually created this invention, back in college with a need for it. And I threw it on a shelf for 25 plus years and then brought it out in 2016 and, got to work. And it's certainly a big responsibility. And, as you can imagine, every possible thing that can go wrong will go wrong. And you just have to constantly fight to get back to your timeline and what center is.
Now, Dimitry, it's really interesting. And I love seeing these visuals here. This is a big piece of equipment. This isn't something that's really teeny. So this has to be expensive to manufacture. Yes or no? I mean, this is not
not really. A retail price is $249, and that includes free shipping in the US. And there's plenty of meat on the bone, which is a really important facet, because most people out there, regardless as to whether you're going to venture a product or license it, if there's not enough money to be made for everybody who needs to participate, you can forget it. And that's one of the things that I had to overcome very quickly, because this machine that I created was just the foot docking station. Courtney, if you could go back up just a little bit on that website, down more to where the red foot docking station is, right there. That red foot docking station used to have a floor plate and was the product that I used to launch my Kickstarter campaign. And when I launched that campaign, I was asking for $125 for that unit. And because it was a Kickstarter platform, I was able to get backers to pay for that. But I learned pretty quickly that the market wasn't willing to pay the $99 for the unit. Everybody came back to me with $50, no more than $50. And I said, you know what, with the manufacturing costs and $50 retail, there's not enough meat on the bone for this product. So what can I do? So I ended up bundling it with what you do see is that mainframe.
But Dimitry, the question I really have though, you're going to have this manufactured overseas?
Yes, it's manufactured in China.
Okay. And what's the minimum order? Just so people understand what we're talking about here. What's the minimum order? How many units?
400, well, 530 units is would fit in a 40-foot container. Anything less than that, the factory minimum order isn't important, because the second you get into 20 footers, you've now, doubled the cost of shipping, because you have to take the total cost of shipping divided by the products that you have, right? So 490 units is what ended up getting in there, because there was a couple of breakage, a couple of units.
So you order 490, it fills a container, right? Do you have to pay for that up front?
Yes, you pay 50% up front, and then when they're done, before they release it and put it on the boat, you have to pay the balance of the other 50%.
Okay, so it comes on a container, and 490, it's fairly expensive containers, what I'm saying. That's not a little bit of money. That's how much money?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, let's cut to the chase right now. When you think about the idea of venturing and you think about the idea of licensing, there's night and day in terms of what the costs are that you're going to incur in order to get this well, pumped, or to, prime the well, or to prove concept. It's a substantial more.
Well, that's what I want to get at. But so can you give us a ballpark price of what that container costs?
Sure. Well, I can tell you what it costs. It's about $45 for the actual unit, soup to nuts. Into the container, and then about $6,000 to $7,000 to get that container to the U.S.
So
once you get to the container in the U.S., that's a whole other.
We'll get there. So if someone could do the math on that, just so we get an idea, because people don't really realize that, hey, I've got this great idea. I want to sell it myself, maybe put it on Amazon, maybe have my own little store. I'm going to get my first minimum order. But what does that really cost?
What is that? 29K about with shipping?
Yeah, exactly.
About 29K. It's not a few pennies. That's a really small order too.
I got really lucky though, because the mainframe unit was already being manufactured by this factory for sales in Europe, and they had not broken into the market. So by me adding the component and really tweaking their mainframe, I was able to create a product without the tooling that's involved. Now, I did pay for the tooling and the molds for my red foot docking station 4.5 years ago, which is what my Kickstarter campaign did. But yes, just for this particular order.
All right.
30 grand.
That doesn't seem too bad to me. But tell me, everybody's kind of scared about working overseas with vendors. You don't know who they are. They're going to steal your idea. They're going to ship it out the back. How do you find that vendor in China that you feel safe with?
That's a good question. I mean, I did stumble across the person who makes this mainframe through Alibaba, and I have patents on everything. So that does give me a little bit of solace comparative. And I have patents issued in China. Okay. So they don't want to mess around with me, because I'll just get their people to go enforce my patent in their province. And we have a big problem. So that's a huge benefit that I have that most entrepreneurs maybe don't, because once again, you got to shell out the money for those things.
Okay, so that costs a little bit of money too, and everybody knows patents are fairly expensive. They take a long time to get. Okay, we all kind of
how many patents do you have, Dimitry?
For all the products that I have 5 issued patents in the United States, and I'm patent pending in a bunch of countries and patent issued, because we'll go through the 2 products. But for the Twisted Core, which is the workout machine, which is the product that I started first, more than not, the patents are issued, and I only have a couple left pending. So I'm pretty covered. Doesn't mean anything unless I start selling. So
what did that all add up to? It was about 10K each, or what did you pay? Much more than that.
Yeah, let's say that the international, the U.S. patent was probably $4,000, which is an actually very, very cheap, affordable to get a non-provisional U.S. patent issued. The overseas ones are expensive, and the annuities are what kills you. And what the annuities are is a way for them to make money on a yearly basis. And the kicker of it is, let's just take China, for example. It could take up to 3 or 4 years for you to get the patent issued, but they collect the annuities for the first 3 years, and you may not even get the patent. So
before we get into that, I just want to recognize Kevin Prince. He's on tonight. Kevin Prince is a He's
Kevin.
a patent agent. Did you work with Kevin?
Kevin is the person who was able to get me 5 out of 6. So if we were playing baseball, we're quite successful. So 5 completely issued patents out of 6. I was going to try to take my monitor and turn it just so you could see the patents on the wall, but
All
let's
right.
see if I can do that without killing. See, there they are.
So you guys, just let you know, Kevin Prince, wonderful patent agent, knows what he's doing. I use them. Dimitry uses them. Other people probably use them too. So Kevin, thank you for doing such a great job for all of us. All right. Okay.
Real briefly, before we move forward, I have a question from Neil. I'm just going to ask it because I think this is really a good time right now. He asks, gym equipment is very competitive. What were the deciding factors that gave you confidence that you can succeed in this category?
Ooh, good question.
Well, let's go back to the origination of why I actually created this. When I was back in college, I was like everybody else looking to get ripped and shredded because, everybody digs abs. And when I would do a regular workout with all the machines that were in the gym, I felt myself sore in certain places, but there was other places that I felt no benefit whatsoever. And I was starting to get a little irritated that I wasn't able to achieve that. So I literally ended up having friends, lie across my feet while I was on a bench and prop a stiff pillow behind my back and create the angular position that I knew would allow me to achieve hitting the head of the muscle in a way that was never done before. And sure enough, I was incredibly sore, in places that I never was before. So I started mathematically looking at the human body and discovering, that there's really a 360-degree rotation. And we really concentrate on 2 points, plane 0, which is when you're doing regular sit-ups. And then when you lean over and you do your oblique crunches, which is 90 degrees. But what happens to the 88 degrees in between? Your muscles can only do one thing. They can either contract or expand. And the idea of kinesiology is the tension on that muscle.
So Dimitry, you've got a better product than everything else on the market. That's what I want to hear.
I love it, brother. Thank you. Simplify it. Keep kiss it. Yes.
Talk about getting to the point. Okay, so
thank you for honing me into the back to center. So yes, the product that I have is better, and it's also the only product that allows you to do these exercises either in a commercial setting or residential setting. Nothing else exists. That's why the patent was issued.
Okay, so you have a point of difference compared to the rest. It's better. Okay, let's keep on moving on because there's a lot of stuff here.
Sure.
Okay, so I build it out and I have a container. It lands in the US. What do I do now?
Okay, so first thing you got to do is figure out where you're going to store that container. And I had it land in California specifically for 2 purposes. But I got 3PL, which stands for third party logistics. It's basically like a mini Amazon where it's a a warehouse, and then they will pull orders and fulfill them. And they also deliver to Amazon, which is really important because Amazon is much more expensive. So you palletize your product for storage as well as specifics for Amazon. And then I have a partner who's an Amazon person. So I specifically landed in California because obviously it's the closest to China and my Amazon partner is out there. But there's a statistic here that people are not aware of, and I don't know if you are, but I'll give you a little bit of information which you can Google and it's factual. Like California as a state is the 5th largest economy on the earth. Right? So if I'm going to sell 10 units in the United States, it's a good chance that 5 of them are going to be in California just by mathematical statistics. Okay. So it made perfect sense to land there and to set up shop there, even though it's 3,000 miles away with the internet and the way things work.
Okay, so let's talk about the fulfillment because a lot of people don't understand this. Sure. You live where?
I live in New Jersey, and my fulfillment is in Rancho something or other.
Cucamonga, someplace. Okay.
Yeah,
someplace over there. But you have found the fulfillment. You pay them. Can you tell us about what % they make when they do all the work?
Sure. It's $20 a pallet per month. And depending on how many you can stack, we're going to stack 18 for storage and 12 because Amazon has physical restrictions that you have to comply with. So it's probably going to cost me about $750 for the first month. And then as you obviously sell units and you start to lower the volume, it comes down. And then they charge $8 for picking, and then of course you have the fulfillment with UPS or FedEx, and that's a whole other animal.
Okay. All right. So you've got them. How are you going to sell them?
Well, we've got multi-layered platforms here. So I'm doing a Spectrum commercial, which I think you guys might have a 60-second spot if Courtney wants to do that at some point, which is ironic because that is being targeted where I am in New York and New Jersey. If that's successful and we hit the numbers that we want, then LA will be next. I'm using a predominant company that has been vetted by me for Facebook and Instagram, social media, where we're going to be paying for ad space. They're going to literally be paid sponsored ads. My Amazon partner, which is out west, that is going to be really, taking that entire process off of my shoulders. And then, to believe it or not, I hired a PR firm to help me really start to bring some life to this on all different facets. And I'm quite happy with the firm too.
Okay. Sounds like you've had some money to do this, right? Because
yeah, there's no question about it. And like I mentioned before, venturing is far more expensive, but then again, the profit margin is hugely higher. If you want me to, I can kind of go real quickly. Well, I don't know how quick, but mathematically, the statistics between doing venturing.
Well, we'll get to the licensing for just a minute because they're so different.
Sure.
So you're going to sell it. You've got a PR. You got a commercial. Was that commercial expensive?
Well, it's an interesting thing because most commercials are, but the way I did it is I contacted my local company, Spectrum, which is the company that does it, out of Palisades Park. That's where it was. And I just started really talking to them and saying, look, it's got to be slow for you. And so, and I certainly want to try to produce this, product and make it go out there. How do you guys help, with some of these absorbent costs? And they ended up connecting me with their company that they utilize internally. And I will tell you that the price I'm going to give you is not realistic for all of your viewers, because unless you commit to the second part of that equation, which is to run at least 1 month's worth of ads, they're not going to do it. But soup to nuts, the 60-second spot, a 30-second spot, and then a 30-second Amazon compliance spot. You ready?
Yep.
$4,200.
They did all that.
They did all of it, all professionally grade, everything. Now I hired the actors, or the models, but that was $4,200, and I had to commit to $5,000 worth of ad run between New York and New Jersey.
Yeah. So 10 grand.
Yeah, 10 grand, and I have professionally quality videos and hundreds of stills that I'm utilizing. And what I did, which is very special, and this is hugely important for everybody out there, is I negotiated contractually to have no restrictions on the material so that I could use them as I see fit, where I want, when I want, with no expiration.
Okay.
And that's what allows me to take it and just multi-platform it.
Okay. So when will those start to air, your commercials?
We wanted to have it go for January 1st, but when the backlog of everything happening over in Long Branch took place, we are still waiting for our container to clear customs. So we're now shooting for the first or second week of February.
Okay, before we get to the licensing real quick.
Yeah.
Have you made any mistakes?
You guys have 4 or 5 hours where we can chronologically go through them A through Z. Here's a great thing. You want to be successful. I'm looking straight into the camera to all you folks. You want to be successful? Look what I did and do everything opposite. No, I'm only kidding, but there's a million things that can go wrong. And the only way you learn is either by doing and being smart enough to listen when someone says, hey, look, avoid this problem. Okay. I mean, look, I think it's really important, whether you license or venture, you create a timeline and you should set up goals for yourself to achieve from A to Z. A is the very beginning and Z is whatever it is that you want to do. And I assure you, you will get kicked off that path all the time. And your focal point is how fast and how efficiently can I get back to center? Because that's what it's about. And you have to realize that. And when you venture a product, one of the things that people don't realize is when you license and you make that sale and you get that company, you're kind of done in the respect. You get to sit back and relax. When you venture and you sell your first 40-foot container and you think you proved concept or POS, guess what? You got to double up and then triple up. And the next thing you know, it's a legitimate business that's going to take an enormous amount of your time. And I wasn't so sure I was prepared for that. And now I've accepted it because of where I am in my business career, that I can say, you know what, if this takes off, I have enough time to devote to it. That's important, really important, because people don't see that. They don't understand that.
Can you do it with a day job?
I have a day job.
You do?
I do. I own a security company that installs monitors and services burglar and fire alarms, residential and commercial. I started that in 1992, and I've grown it to be one of the top 20 companies in Bergen County. Okay. So that's how I make a living and how I'm able to do some of these things. You know, all joking aside, I don't have the trust fund, you know, kind of situation. So, you know, it's 29 years I've been doing the security stuff to allow me the opportunity to venture these products.
So, Dimitry,
yes,
are you nervous?
Yeah, well, I'm not nervous. Let's say that I learned how to handle stress over the course of the 3 decades with my company. So I roll with the punches. I mean, you know, I learned something about this new product that I have that's actually a big problem, and I had to figure out how we're going to overcome that. You know, there was a component on the unit that was not manufactured the way it needed to be done, and you literally have to take something and break it off. It's a little tiny piece, you have to break it off. And of course, the instructions don't have it. My video instructions don't have it. So how am I going to figure this out and not have customers flip out? And the way I did it is through UPS delivery. I will get an email confirmation the second that the package is delivered. And since they ordered online through my website, they will then get an automatic email thanking them for the product and suggesting that they push this little link, you know, 10 minutes into the video so that they can see what piece they need to snap off. And we look forward to them enjoying it. So I had to figure out how to overcome that problem. It was a pretty devastating thing because we didn't know how bad the problem really was.
How do you deal with stress?
I don't sleep as much as I probably should. You know?
That's not dealing with it. How do you deal with it?
You know, it's interesting. I guess I feed off of it. You know, I was always somebody who overcame problems when I was younger and tinkering with things, you know, and that's why my friends, you know, like we talked about this before, when they have a problem with something and they can't figure it out, it's like, call me, and I walk in and I'm like, why are you doing it this way? This is wrong. That's wrong. Let's figure it out. So when it comes to stress, I think I work my stress through by these things, you know. And another thing that's interesting, which I wanted to bring up, I'm sorry, but I don't know if I'm going off track, is we as inventors, you know, want things to happen really, really quickly, especially when I've seen some of the videos that you guys have posted about, you know, when you submit to a company your idea, you know, we did it at 9 o'clock in the morning and damn it, it's 2:30. You know, why haven't they gotten back in touch with me? And that's a huge problem because 1, you piss people off. 2, they don't want to be bothered with you. So by me having 2 different things, I can pitch my one product and wait 5 to 10 days without feeling as anxious as everybody else, because then I can focus on the other product. You know, so that is a blessing in disguise for me because I get to do that and space it out. But
so let's do this. Let's talk about the licensing now, because that's a completely different product, isn't it? What is it?
Yes, the licensing product is a hair accessory product called Genie Cone. And I'm going to put this up here. What Genie Cone is, all right, this is an arts and crafts kit. I'm going to try to show this to you. It's a base cone that goes into the girl's hair that creates the ponytail. And this arts and crafts kit comes with blank covers that I've already decorated, but assume that the covers look like this. This is a unit that comes, you can see the covers are totally blank. They have little tiny markers, and on the back, we give you stickers along with a little scrunchie as well as a tool to help you. And there's a template that allows you to personalize. So the product basically is a 2-part product. The base cone that comes in your hair, and then the covers that I would like everyone to think of as blank canvases for advertising, anything. So this is the product that I've also patented, and I have it patented worldwide. This is a 2-cover fun pack that we'd like to also present. Same thing, the base cone is there. You can see the spikes that go into the user's hair. And these covers here can be something like, you know, Disney characters or the football, baseball teams. And then finally, what I'm really excited about is this LED version that I have patented, and it is totally going to be really cool. So I'm going to try to put that up there. I don't know if you can see it. Right, it bleeds, the color bleeds, but this basically is the same product, which is an LED cone that goes into the hair and allows for group participation, like raves and.
Well, Dimitry, you're going to have to grow your hair a little bit longer to be able to use that. Okay.
I have a picture of me back with my hair long when I was a young little lad.
Okay, so where are you with this product? Because it looks pretty finished. It looks like you've got the packaging right. Looks like you've got some like line extensions. You've got accessories.
Yep.
Where are you with this today?
I'm in the process. I have great sales sheets and I have good marketing material. I am having, I guess I shouldn't say difficulty, but I am working with people who have been entrenched in the business of toys for quite some time to try to say, hey, look, if you guys are interested, let's see if we can collaborate together, because the 300 retail or toy vendors that I want to get to, and I have the product. So let's see if we can do something together. So in fairness, I'm not, the licensing effort is being shared amongst a handful of selected people that I've chosen to do that with.
Okay, so you've got somebody actually out there helping you a little bit with the licensing.
Yes, but I don't have exclusivity. I had exclusivity and I was pissed off about doing that because they weren't getting done and I had to wait for the 6-month expiration. And this point forward, no one has exclusivity on it. If you bring me the product, or excuse me, if you bring me the company, we'll do it.
So is it called, is it technically a licensing agent or a broker? Who are you working with and how'd you find them? You don't have to give the name. You don't have to give the name, but
throughout the industry, listen, I was at the toy fair in New York City. They had an Inventors booth section there, which most people were not aware of. So I was able to be lucky enough to show my product there. So, the people from Mattel came by, the people from Disney came by. So collecting a lot of business cards and taking my notes, I would contact the individuals. I clearly look at this as two different, multiple products, but the arts and crafts kit is very much in the toy genre. The people who are looking at the arts and crafts kits, while they like the LED genie cone, that's not their market. So I'm able to look at different paths for licensing a single product, which is also interesting because a lot of times when you license a product, they want it all, even if they don't end up using it. For example, if I ended up licensing it to Disney, I don't think they would care if I had the NFL. Because it's not their target market, so okay. I'm looking at that opportunity as well. Now, Andrew asked me a question, how does a guy like me come up with a product like that? And certainly there's a little bit of history to it. So I'm going to show you the original, which is this right here. This is the original called Lacone, and it was sold in 1987. So it has a history in it. My father was involved with it, and they sold 85,000 units in an 18-month period at Macy's and Bloomingdale's. Back in 1987, 1988. I literally threw this on a shelf like I did with my other invention. And when I decided to bring it out, I felt like it was dated. They called this cracked marble one more time. They called that cracked marble. So I took a piece of paper, put it on there, trimmed it all up and made it look nice. And I started drawing bonsai trees and all different kind of things. And I don't know why, but I turned it upside down. And then the little paper cover fell off. And I was like, that was my aha moment. Oh my God, an interchangeable hair product with a base cone and covers that are blank canvases that you could literally put anything from a Van Gogh painting to your dog if you want it, so that got me started. And of course, in speaking with people, the biggest question was, is there enough meat on the bone? And this package right here is about 93 cents delivered. So for $9.95, it's a no-brainer. There's enough meat on the bone. This is actually a much more expensive proposition because it's about $2.85 because of all the stuff in here. But this is, this is easily a shelving space, $17.95 to $19.95.
How many companies have you shown it to already to see for a licensing deal? A lot, a few, how many?
The first person that I hired exclusively did show it to about 40 different companies. And
40, it was 40?
Yeah, 40 over the course of about a 9-month period. And I have a whole spreadsheet of that. And one of the things that I discovered very quickly is it's not that it's a new category, but it's a completely new product in the category. So people are a little reserved. They love the product. Same thing I found with my Twister Core. People are like, oh, we love it. We can sell millions of it. Prove the concept. We don't want to be first. And that is what I've come up with both opposition with both of my products, is that if I prove concept, then they'll all line up and say, yes, we want it, because now they can make money.
It sounds like you've taken a hair accessory and made it kind of a craft. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. I took a generic hair accessory and I made it an arts and crafts kit, but then I wanted to expand beyond that.
Okay.
And I said, licensing or branding or, NFL, all those things. And then
Okay.
what ended up happening is a friend of mine 2.5 years ago went to a Coldplay concert and they gave out these wristbands that were LED wristbands and they were synced to the music. And you saw exactly my eyes lit up because I was like, oh my, this is something that would work, even though it's only half the population with a cone. So I called up my good man, Kevin Prince, and said, let's do a $400 or $500 search to find out how we can patent this product. And amazingly enough, the utility patent that I got on this product is not because of the LEDs, but it's because of the way we created the switch. By snapping the cover down on the base completes the circuit.
Okay.
By completing the circuit, that is a different methodology to turning on a switch. So I was able to get a totally fully patent on that.
Okay, let's do this. Dimitry, thank you, first of all. Okay. Because we're going to keep following the story as it unfolds. But I really like that you're doing both. And it allows you to do two different things, two different skill sets.
Yes, absolutely. And
I'm sure it keeps you up at night. Both do. I'm sure they do. Okay. And we're going to keep following. But Courtney, let's go ahead and open it up for questions, because I think a lot of people at the very beginning are like, what do I do? I've got this great idea. Do I venture it? Do I license it? I mean, do you have any, before we get to the questions, did you ever think about licensing your fitness equipment, or is it strictly, hey, I'm going to manufacture this?
No, I actually did look at licensing it, and I ended up getting into a contractual agreement with one of the largest players in the industry. I got a second contract with this person because the first contract was deemed too rich for me, even though their attorneys are the ones who drew it up. And a year went by in which it was a total farce and a sham. And the guy I'm not going to talk about, but every person I've ever talked to has nothing but horrid stories. So I was like, you know what? It was a year to a year and a half of my life wasted on that. I'm not going to allow anyone to do it. I have passion for this product. It's something that I wanted to do. Boom, I did it. The Genie Cone, I never thought about bringing to market. That was purely a desire to license it because.
All right, very good.
For it.
Hey,
Before we go into questions, Stephen, I'd just love to offer a second to, if you, Stephen, or all of you guys, Andrew and Dimitry, if you guys just want to briefly sum up the pros and cons of venturing or licensing.
Okay, well, I can certainly tell you what I think my experience has been. The pros to licensing is if you don't have a business-oriented background or you don't really want to be involved in the day-to-day grind and the problems that come up, it's tough, but once you get your information together and you can close that deal, you kind of can sit back and say, all right, let me see what happens. I'm available if you want to talk to me, but send me my check and I'll get a paper cut once every 3 months. Venturing is a business. You are starting from scratch. You are in charge. Everything lives or dies by your hand. And the success of your business will yield you more money in the long run because of the percentages. I will tell you that 2 to 3% on a licensing deal for a product like this is what the big players are going to pay you. It's about a 30% return net profit after each unit is sold. So to give you an idea, for me to make the same money, I have to sell 12,000 of my units a year compared to a huge company selling 180,000 units for me to make the exact same amount of money. One is much more achievable, and the other ones you got to rely on the experts. So that's my take on the difference between venturing and licensing. Steve and Andrew, I'd love to hear your
I think you summed it up beautifully. I think I think if you want to venture, you have to realize a couple things. It's going to take time. It's going to take money. You're going to make some mistakes. If you can maybe find a partner that's done it before, that's not a bad deal. I've done that before myself. But there's a lot of risk. It is a business. And you're going to be thinking about it 24/7. And if you're a little risk averse, it's probably not the right thing to do.
No way.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. If you're an idea person that you have a lot of ideas and you want to leverage the companies to do all the heavy lifting, the risk taking, yes, that's a different business model. That's an easier business model because you can just be creative. They're very different. It's almost like one's being an entrepreneur, wants to control everything, and the other side is like, I don't want to control anything. I just want to be creative. So they're very different, and they do take a different skill set,
Sure.
and a different attitude, and a different level of skill and money. Okay, let's don't forget that. I remember just with selling these little guitar picks, and I remember, I mean, we're talking about, here's a bowl in my office, a bowl of them, and they're just little guitar picks, right? And they're about 3 cents. And I remember the first Walmart order, it was $250,000. It was $500,000.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, how do I come up to fulfill that order? Was $250,000. And then where do you get that money? So it's a float game too.
Sure.
It's a money game. I think you're bypassing that a little bit by selling online yourself. You're bypassing the float game, which is really smart. But regardless, it takes the money.
Well, I have not partnered with anyone in terms of this venturing product. I am doing it all myself purposely because I can float these kind of things. But if I do get that QVC deal with 5,000 units, then all of a sudden I have to decide, am I going to go into debt, or am I going to bring in a partner that gives me more? I have tons of friends who are ridiculously loaded, but I don't want just money. That's dumb money. I want smart money that's going to come and say, hey, look, I'm going to do this and work with you side by side to make this grow.
Yeah, I would say, to add to what Stephen's talking about, I would say that 2 to 3 is awfully low. Those are more like DRTV infomercial rates. Over the last 21 years, Steve and I have been coaching and mentoring vendors to license products. 5% is the most common. Sometimes it could be 6 or 7 or 8, but 5 is very, very common.
I've seen that. I've seen 5%, but understand
Very
that
common.
But when I go to the telebrands of the world, and those,
well, that's DRTV. That's different.
Right, but those are the licensing things that I've been looking at when it came to my machine. So, I'm not looking at that. It's totally, the Genie Cone product is not licensing that way, but I really went down that route, and the people that were the powers that be said, look, we're going to spend millions of dollars, and when all is said and done, there's about 10 to 12% left over. So 5% is just not acceptable.
Well, but you said it very eloquently. You said, well, I can get 5% and they can sell 150,000 units, or I can get 20 or 30% and I can sell 12 myself. But the difference is you're putting all that responsibility on them. And what if they can sell 300,000 units? What if it, whatever it is?
That's the home run. Listen, the one company that I went and tried to do, they said, if we don't sell 1 million to 2 million units in a 3-year period, we're not going to take this on. So they're talking about 3 million units. You take 3 million units and you can forget about what you can do personally, because you just don't have the general public doesn't have the skill set to be able to sell 3 million of anything.
Now you're running your own business, so you have some flexibility. With your other business, you have employees and stuff. But if you were working a 40-hour-a-week job and you had a boss, could you venture these products with a 40-hour-a-week job?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it would be a lot more difficult to do. Now you throw in having twins on top of that, you got to learn time management. One of the things that venturing a product certainly has taught me to do is understand the timeline and time management, because if A doesn't happen, B is now waiting. And if B doesn't happen, C can't do their job. So it really is very, very, very different. You're not at your own pace. You're at almost everyone else's pace versus licensing, where you can take it at your own pace and devote 2 hours a night if you want to.
You guys, let's go ahead and get some questions here, because I'm sure we have quite a few and I don't want to run out of time.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, we've got lots of questions. A lot of questions on defending patents. So instead of everyone asking the same question, if you want to comment or not comment, the question is, have you had to defend any of your patents?
No, and I'll tell you why. There's nobody going to steal something that hasn't made money yet. One, they don't know about it. And two, when I start to make a lot of money, that's when the patent will come into play. So nobody will, you can't sue anybody if they're not making money from you, but they're not going to make money if they don't know about it. So I will defer this to Kevin Prince, who will be able to answer those. Sorry, Kevin, you're going to get inundated with a bunch of emails, but I have not needed to defend it as of yet because it doesn't exist. Let's talk about that in a year and see whether or not it starts creeping up on Alibaba.
Great answer. We've got Richard Sanders. I'm going to try and go ahead and unmute you. You had a question about licensing.
Is he there?
Go for it. You are unmuted. I do see you. I'm not sure why you cannot speak. Is your audio okay on your end? Okay, well, no worries. If you want to, oh, go for it. Go ahead. No, we still can't hear you, but
Okay. Can you hear me now?
There you go.
yes, go for
Sorry
it.
about that, guys. Hey, so I'm kind of in the same boat as you with my product. It's something that's not out there in the market currently. I'm having a hard time trying to find a manufacturer to license to because it's something that's never been done. What have you learned to try and get yours actually licensed, to find, I guess, the place to go to get it licensed?
Well, you mentioned manufacturing. When it comes to manufacturing, you really need to get CAD files. CAD files are engineering files that that are universal, so that when you send it over to your manufacturing facility, their engineers, even though they don't speak the language that you speak, can understand to the nut and bolt and the thickness of the threads what product you want. So getting a good engineer to help you design a CAD file is pretty important. And then when it comes to licensing, really your sell sheets, and nowadays the trend seems to be towards more of a video presentation. A lot of people that I've been talking to and in turn myself have created, it doesn't have to be professional video, just you with an iPhone. For the Genie Cone LED one, I had a girl come into a house, yell to her mom, I'm running late. Can you do me a favor, get me the lit Genie Cone? My friends are going to be picking me up. And she popped the thing off, and the mother puts it on, gives her a hug, and she walks out the door. So that is enough to be able to sell, along with some decent sell sheets, to cultivate, the companies that you want to look at. Do some research. When I went to the toy fair in New York City, the first thing I did is I went from A to Z, all the companies that were going to be sitting there with their booths, and looked at them. Oh, you're a game board manufacturer. Nope. You sell shoes that are colorful. Nope. Oh, you have color designs for your hair. That's somebody I want to talk to. So you definitely have to do your research. And it's a tough one because I'm not an expert in knowing toy manufacturers and toy retailers, but you got to find out. You got to learn, and you got to figure out, and you got to try to figure out as quickly. This is also important. Try to learn as quickly as you can, or should I say fail as fast as you can and as cheap as you can, because that will kill you. I have done not that when it came to a couple of my ideas. Fail fast and fail cheap is my suggestion.
Great advice, Dimitry. And Richard, I would expand on that to say that people look for companies doing pretty much the exact same thing. If they're somewhat in that space, if you got a barbecue accessory and they're doing barbecue accessories, fine. They don't have to be doing a barbecue spatula. It could be in that space. That's kind of a lame example, but you get the idea. People limit the companies. If they're on the same shelf as your product would be in the stores where you want to be, they're probably a potential licensee. So don't limit yourself so much that it needs to be so exactly the same. Just general area, same distribution channel that you want.
Great. That's fantastic. And one thing I would also like to mention is, because the trade shows are not happening right now, a lot of them have free databases that you can just go ahead and take a look at of the past booths, of the current booths. Really phenomenal resource for wanting to find those companies.
It's great. Good information.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Richard, for your question. We've got a question here from Mickey. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get Mickey on.
Boy, I look rainy.
Mickey.
Hi. So I asked 2 questions. I'm not sure which question you were talking about.
Well, the one that I have here is about sourcing and plastic parts, but if the other one,
that's the main one I want to ask. So,
go for it.
Basically, when you have a product that has multiple components to it, like plastic and metal parts, and I'm at the stage where I'm getting ready to start looking for a manufacturer, which I've never done before. So I don't know if I'm going to be trying to find one manufacturer to make a metal part, another one to make a plastic part, and then find an assembler to put it together, or if I'm supposed to find one manufacturer and they just get the metal and they do it all. I'm not exactly sure.
Great question. And I'll tell you, I'm glad you asked that, because the plastic part of my foot docking station, as I mentioned before, was what I did for my Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
That was manufactured by a company in China out of Fujian, which is a province right next to Taiwan. On Alibaba, I found a factory about 1,000 miles away that had the mainframe. So in this particular case, I've now had to deal with 2 factories in order to get this fulfilled. So the first factory manufactures the plastic foot docking station, and then I have it transported by truck to the primary factory where they manufacture the mainframe, and then they bundle it all together in one box. But my suggestion is, if you want to try to find a company to do both, search the Alibabas of the world for the product that's similar to yours, meaning this has plastic, this has rubber, this has steel, and this is in the realm of fitness, or this is in the realm of, gardening or whatever it is. And then you reach out to them, because you definitely want to try to keep everything under one umbrella if you can, because that's where problems happen. Case in point, the little piece that I have to have somebody kind of break off for this thing to work is because 2 factories were doing it. So great question. I wish I had the answer for you in the sense of where to direct you. But what I can tell you is you might have to do 2 factories until you start to get successful. And then
Dimitry, did you use a sourcing agent, or do you do this all yourself? And what do you think of sourcing agents?
Well, I didn't use a sourcing agent. The mainframe I found all by myself, and I had a mentor in the very, very beginning of this who gave me the name and contact person of the first factory. Great guy. The shout out doesn't matter, but it just, he was very successful financially in this industry, and he gave me the name of the first manufacturer in China. So you can find them. I think there are some good sourcing agents if you can find them, but you got to make sure that you get up front. What are they getting out of this? Because they got to make a living too. So the next thing you know, you got one factory producing something for $20, and the sourcing agent says, well, it's 25. What are they doing for that $5? Are they taking care of every problem that comes up? Are they taking care of the logistics company that you're going to do? All the customs that need to be paid, the tariffs that need to, what are you going to get out of them?
Right.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much, Mickey.
Yeah.
Important question.
All right, we've got maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then a quick poll and a couple other things we want to talk about. Let's go to Mark next. Mark, looks like you're still here. Cohen.
Okay.
Maybe he talks about prototypes. Mark, you will have to press the button that allows you to unmute. There you go.
I don't know why it's coming up Mark Cohen, but it's Peter Evans.
Oh, all right, Peter. Sorry about that.
That's okay. With it, wanted to find out with your prototyping of the gym equipment.
Yes.
Did you do that here, or did you just send over your ideas to China and get them to do it?
Well, I will tell you that no matter how good you are, you will do more than one prototype.
Yeah.
I was convinced that I was going to, since this was a product that I had been thinking about for decades, and I knew that I was going to get it all right. Nope. The second it came, I was like, oh, well, this can be better. That can be better. So I referred to the Cad files, which is really important. These are the engineering files that are universal. Without them, you're not going to get a prototype, because if you think you're going to be able to explain to somebody a whole 1 millimeter off of dead center with a thread count of such and such, you can forget it. But with these files, they basically are self-instruction. So you can spend anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 on a sample, beat the crap out of it, learn what you want to learn. My suggestion is then you redefine the sample, get it, even if you look at it for 10 seconds before you launch, just to make sure it's right. But by prototyping, be prepared for at least 2 prototypes.
I've done 5 so far to get to where I am, but trying to find someone here to take it to the next level, because it's an electrical generator. And when you were talking about getting things made in different factories in China, it's been extremely hard to find someone that will take it to the next level.
That's where a sourcing agent will be able to help you, because they will know the nuances of what the factories can do, and they may be able to shed some light on it. Because I mean, listen, what you have is a generator or electrical component. It's going to have capacitors. It's going to have resistors. It's going to have, light emitting diodes. It's going to have everything that so you got a lot of little moving parts to that versus I got steel tubes and I got bolster, foam pads. So, but the good question, but prototyping, it's tough to find a good factory. And once you have that relationship, you never want to lose it because I've been taken to the bath on a couple of different things where people promised getting stuff done. Not so much the quality, but the delivery. I'll have it to you in 6 weeks. 8 months later, I'm still looking for it.
And that's been the case trying to get stuff prototyped here.
Where are you?
I'm in Miami, but I in Florida, not Ohio. And I went to a couple of prototypers here and they kept shortchanging everything. One even sent it to China. The quality of the product that they sent was great. It's just that I couldn't take it to the next level.
I have one suggestion which you might want to look at. A lot of universities and a lot of companies are creating these platforms of market space where it's a one-stop shop to do everything from arc welding to whatever it is. And the student body is in the facility. So this is almost like an assignment that you can work with those companies to say, hey, look, let your students manufacture this and I'll pay you 30% of what market value is. And they love it because their students need to do it. They're getting some income and they have everything under one shop. And then you got a lot of young minds thinking about your product and maybe tweaking it because things can always change.
Okay, because I have gone through universities, but you go and do a presentation and they go, oh, it's not software. So maybe up north, they seem to be more open to things than what's been going on lately.
It's possible. I can't speak for that other than my engineer that I went to college with that ended up doing all this open, exactly what I'm describing, called the Market Space Connecticut.
Okay. So, I'll chase it up through the ones that I've been going.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we are out of time. Before everyone goes, we've got a couple of things that we'd like to just briefly talk about. Let me just unhighlight us so we can all see everyone. All right. Everyone can go into gallery view if you guys want to see everyone here. Okay. So a couple of things. We want to talk briefly about the Inventor Groups, but Andrew, before everyone just starts to jet, why don't you go ahead and take a group photo of everyone and I'll get the link ready.
Thanks for reminding me. I would have forgotten.
You got it.
Okay. Hold on. We'll take two. We got about 2 pages of people that are on video. So if everybody can raise your hand, smile, be crazy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. All right, now we're gonna do one more time. Since you don't know which page you're on, everybody has to do it. Hold on a moment. Oh, yeah, my software just crashed. Hold on. Oh, no, we're good. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, we got it.
Great. All right, Stephen, do you want to briefly talk about the Inventor Groups? Everyone can take a look at the link that I just sent and you guys can
thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for attending tonight. We're going to be hosting throughout the whole year 2021. We're going to bring on some really wonderful speakers. So please come back. But I do want to say something I think is extremely important. The best way for you to educate yourself when you're starting out is to join your local Inventors group. And we're showing you a few of the groups here. At IGA. If you go to our website, we have a list of all the groups across the country for you to participate in their meetings. Now, of course, they're not having in-person meetings, but that will happen. But they have Zoom meetings, and it's really important for you to find these local groups that are in your town. Get to know who they are, reach out to them because they are wonderful. It's a wonderful source for you to learn the basics, for you to learn about prototyping, learn about IP. This is where you get that information that's priceless. You find your community, they're sharing like-minded information with you. they're your community. It's very important to support it. We've got a few here that we just put up here. We will be rotating all the groups throughout the whole year. So if you're in Washington, D.C., Chris Paul's down below. Go see him. He's got a great group, and there's many, many others, as you can see here. At IGA, we fully support your local Inventors group. So please join. You're going to learn a tremendous amount of information, and the cost is so low, it's priceless if you attend. So that's really what I want to say. So thank you for letting me say that, Courtney. And I know there's some leaders today that are here tonight. So I want to thank some of the leaders. I've seen John down below, and I think I've seen a couple others here. So thank you for joining. Join your local Inventors group. It's critical.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Stephen. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for coming. We do have that poll. So we're going to go ahead and do that poll. And Stephen, Andrew, and Dimitri, if you guys have any final remarks, also go ahead, everyone. Please type in your thank yous. It's always wonderful to be able to send that to our speaker. So definitely go ahead and do that. And Stephen, Andrew, Dimitri, while we bring up the poll, do you guys have any last remarks for everyone?
I just want to say thank you to Dimitri for coming on. I know you're a busy guy. You got a couple products, you got your own business, and you took the time to share your personal story with us. So thank you so much.
Hey, listen, I really appreciate it. I feel like it's not only a way for me to help others, but I learn too. You know, so this is a community of people that everybody is mind-like, and I think it was a privilege and an honor. And I really want to thank you guys. You know, you guys create platforms that lets people, you know, that are like me, you know, have a place to kind of dream and fulfill what they're looking to do. So listen, I thank you as much as you guys are thanking me. It was a privilege and a pleasure. I had a lot of fun. I hope I helped some people out there.
Well, Dimitri, thank you very much. We're going to have you back.
All right.
Because we all want to know when those commercials hit. And we all want to know when you get that hair accessory that I love so much, when that starts hitting, we want to know the results, because everybody's listening tonight realizes we all have our goals are the same. We want to commercialize our creativity. We either want to venture, we want to license, but we really want to know how to do this. And we want to avoid a couple of mistakes along the way. And that's why these classes are so important. These webinars or fire chat groups. Thank you, Courtney, because I think we can all learn from each other.
I agree.
Courtney, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for coming. We definitely hit that mark of 100 throughout the whole entire thing, with people still trying to inch in from the waiting room if someone drops. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And again, thank you so much, Dimitri, for speaking with us. And everyone, please take a look at that poll. I'll stay on here as long as you guys will be on here. And again, thank you so much. And we hope to see you in our next meeting in February, so we can bring you more expert information in the areas you need help in. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Do I sign off?
Go for it if you want to sign
Anytime.
off.
Hey,
If you want to talk.
If you want to stay longer, no, come on, you guys, fill out that poll. I'll see you guys next month.